What's going on, guys? I wanted to do this second video today because it is the 4th of July, and the subject that I'm going to be talking about I think is extremely important for our country. We've been talking about healthcare a lot in the media lately, and there's this huge debate about who should be paying for your medical care, whether you should be paying for it, whether other people should be paying for it. And some people are saying, you know what, we need to make sure that everybody has health care. And then some people are saying that, well, you should be able to get health care if you can afford it. I have my particular leanings on the subject. I'm not going to inject them here, and honestly, I'm not an expert on health insurance or the healthcare system as it is. What I do know is this, and that is that the debate as a whole is missing the point, and it's missing the point on a number of different levels. We are really great at treating trauma in this country and in the Western medical model. We're great at fixing bones. We're great at healing infections. We're great at plastic surgery. But we're not so good at treating chronic disease. In fact, our record is piss poor. And it boggles my mind when I see groups of doctors saying things like, well, coconut oil is horrible for you. It's always been bad for you. Look at our research for the last 60 years. Well, guess what? Your research for the last 60 years hasn't done much. All it's done is to manage disease and to treat symptoms. You have done nothing to exact cures. You have done nothing or very little to teach people about preventing disease in the first place. And I think that that's what this debate should be revolved around. How are we going to keep people from getting sick in the first place? We would save millions of dollars, right? The most expensive part of keeping up the healthcare system is the treatment of chronic disease. Why is it? Because these diseases require a lot of medications, and they require you to take these medications regularly. And if you stop taking them, guess what? The symptoms take over and you get sick. So all we're really doing here is keeping people on the hook and making sure that their symptoms don't get any worse. We're not trying to make people better. There is no money in curing disease, and there is no money in really preventing people from getting disease in the first place. Of course, we have the health and fitness industry, but I'll get into that in a second. But my big point here with healthcare is this: a lot of us are missing the point. And you might be thinking, well, I work out, I train, I do all these things. Well, one of the reasons why I've pulled back away from just talking about bodybuilding and strength on this channel is because I want you to be concerned with something far more important than how much you can squat, how much you can bench, and what your abs look like. And that is, what are you going to be doing when you're 70 years old? Are you going to be walking around? Are you going to be of sound mind and sound body? Are you going to be able to do all the things that you want to do, that you enjoy, and that make you human? This is a question that all of us need to be asking ourselves. What am I going to be like when I am friggin' in my old age, when I'm 70, 80, 90? Because it's one thing to be alive, but it's another thing to be alive, but in a state of morbidity, where you can't move, where you can't think properly, where you can't function. And many of us are facing morbidity at younger and younger ages. People are getting autoimmune diseases in record numbers. People are getting diabetes in record numbers. I had Gary Taubes on the podcast a few weeks ago, and he was talking about the fact that 1 in 4 veterans admitted to the VA system has diabetes. That's insane. We can avoid this, and I think that the biggest factor in us overcoming the obstacles we have with healthcare lies in us and in our understanding that we can control our likelihood of getting death-dealing and chronic disease. Now, I'm not saying that this is going to keep everybody from getting it, because frankly, there's a lot of variables here. But we can prevent a lot of us from getting death-dealing and chronic disease through a better lifestyle, through training, through better nutrition, and through knowledge. Now, I say this with the utmost, I guess you'd say, empathy and utmost understanding of those of you who currently have chronic diseases. I suffer from ulcerative colitis, and at times it made my life hell. But I also have to tell you that, a lot of the medications, they never worked on me. The only things that worked on me were when I improved my diet, and honestly, CBD and marijuana have worked on me quite a bit, but the medical establishment doesn't see those as viable treatments. You have to go outside of the normal system in order to get them. And for those of you who are suffering from chronic diseases, I'm also not saying it's your fault. I'm saying it's in our control, as to whether or not we control the likelihood of us getting these diseases. I'm not saying it's your fault if you have these diseases. It's the fault of ignorance on many people's part. A lot of people don't understand what is going to lead to what. And a lot of the information that the medical establishment has given us over this last 60 years is based on information that has not helped us. For example, the food pyramid has done very little to keep people from getting heart disease or diabetes. So what are we to do? Now, the biggest thing that I think that you need to do if you are going to try to go down a path where you can opt out. I just had Keith Norris on the podcast, the founder of PaleoFX, and he's encouraging people to opt out of the system. He's saying live a healthier lifestyle, make sure that you're giving your body better nutrition, make sure that you are taking care of yourself, and don't feed the industrial beast of the pharmaceutical and medical industry. I agree with Keith, but I also take a different note on this, and that is that we should all be skeptical, right? We should all immediately become skeptics. And that is to say this: when your doctor tells you something, don't consider him some sort of priest or authority on the issue. Immediately question what he's saying and say, you know what, I want to do my research. I'm going to look around and see what I can come up with, right? And if he's trying to give you some sort of medication that has 4 or 5 different side effects, look at what other people have done. Look at what other people are saying who suffer from that disease or that ailment. See what they say about the effects of the medication, and see what they say about what they're trying to do in order to stave off those effects. When it comes to fitness authorities or wellness authorities, and I have to say this because we see a lot of crap here on YouTube and amongst the fitness industry. Question everything. Question me. If I say something, I want you to first things first say Chris is a fucking scam. I want you to consider me a scam artist. And the reason why I want you to do this is because every time I say something, I want you to research it. I want you to go out and fact check me, fact check every sentence that comes out of my mouth, every piece of advice that comes out of my mouth, and do that for every freaking YouTuber, fitness guru, trainer, whatever you come in contact with. Fact check everything. This is your body we're talking about. This is your welfare. You should not trust me. You should not trust anybody else here on YouTube. Do your research. Double check every single thing that any of us say before you actually implement it. And then once you've done that, get as many opinions as possible, and then you decide on the best course for your treatment. Number 2, make sure that, and by the way, I'm not a doctor. I was talking about fitness from my aspect. We get conflated when we talk about things, but when it comes to fitness, question everybody from YouTube. When it comes to medical advice, be a skeptic when it comes to what your doctor's telling you. You have to remember something about doctors too. They get less than an hour of nutrition education when they go through medical school. That's absurd in my opinion. And until that changes, I don't think we should be considering them authorities on nutrition. I never got decent nutrition advice from any doctor that helped me to cure my ulcerative colitis or to put me into remission. All I got was, make sure you take your medication. We're going to put you on prednisone. But that's besides the point. The next thing is, make sure that you are putting your health and fitness as a priority. All right. A lot of us like to make excuses. A lot of us like to say, I've got a family. I can't exercise. I can't eat right. I got this job. I don't have time to exercise. I don't have time to eat right. I don't have time to cook meals. Well, guess what, guys? You're not going to be able to provide for your family. You're not going to be able to do your job if you are not able to take care of yourself. If you are not of sound mind and sound body, then you are not going to be the best version of yourself, and you'll get much better advancement of your career. You'll be a much better family person if you're able to function at a high level. And this video is already over 10 minutes long. I didn't want it to be this long, so I'm going to sign off. But the bottom line is, guys, develop your skeptic muscle. Really, really be skeptical about every single thing you put out there, or every single thing you see or come across, and make sure that you are taking care of yourselves. Make sure that you are putting yourself first, because until you put yourself first and until you put your mind and your body above everything else, you're not going to be able to avoid running into a chronic disease or running into a death-dealing disease. That's my take for today. I hope everybody enjoys their holiday, and I love you all. Talk to you all soon. I'm getting tongue-tied today. Peace.